Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to get a business growth mindset in today's session with Charles Reed. And he is a certified public accountant in the US. He's a tax court practitioner, a former member of the Internal Revenue Service Advisory Council, a Vietnam veteran, and the founder of GetPayroll. First question is, what's the secret to your success?
Thanks for having me, first off. Literally, the success is the people I've hired. They've allowed me to succeed and grow the business and make for a very nice living for myself and my family. Without them, I'd be a sole entrepreneur, making a reasonable living, but they've made it much easier to grow and to succeed.
Thank you. How did you awaken to your titanic potential, and how did that lead you onto starting GetPayroll?
Well, I'd grown up in a family business, so I was familiar with the concept of small business and family businesses. I went in the military at 17, spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, came out, realized that my military experience, business did not value it the way they should then, as that now they don't understand because they haven't been there. So I went to college and got my degrees, got my bachelor's, my MBA, and went to work for Texas Instruments. Thought in the end I'd run a major corporation. Well, after 15 years in corporate world, I realized I wasn't going to run a major corporation because I didn't have the political skills. I was unwilling to stab people in the back and toss them off the ladder. So if I was going to run a business, it was going to have to be my own. So my wife and I started our own business a third of a century ago, 1991. And have continued to grow it since. She's passed, but I continue to work in it and grow the business on a daily basis and have a lot of fun doing so.
Thank you. And how did you integrate your own business growth mindset, and how did that help you to build this incredible business?
Well, I wanted to have a business that was business to business rather than business to consumer. To me, that's a better fit for my particular personality and mindset. Being an accountant, I'm very literal and very linear. As I tell people, all my flower beds have square corners. So it works better for business, for my business, than for consumers, for me personally. So I wanted a business that would be for business to business. I hung out my own shingle as an accountant and was doing small business accounting and payroll as a sideline. We continued to grow the business. I liked the payroll aspect. I was getting tired of doing taxes. And I had a partner who was very much of a tax guy. So we split the company and he took the accounting portion, which I was tired of, and frankly, I was happy to sell. And I kept the payroll, and we've continued to grow that now for about 15 years. So, and that makes me much more business to business because you don't have payroll unless you have a business, unless you're employing domestic help. And we do some of that, but it's still a business atmosphere, a business aspect, of business thought process, as opposed to a consumer one. And that's something I work with better than business B2C.
Thank you. What does it mean to have a business growth mindset?
A lot of my fellow CPAs are perfectly happy with a practice that generates them, in the low six figures gross income. And they have no interest in growing. They have no interest in hiring people. They have no interest in expanding. They're perfectly happy to make a reasonable living doing what they do. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But that will never get you it won't grow your business. It's a mindset. And I've always wanted a bigger business. And so we constantly are looking at ways to provide newer, better, cutting-edge services and service to our clients We were the first green payroll. We were the first crypto payroll. We moved on to the internet very early. We became a national firm very early on. We are one of the smaller of the national firms, but there's only, maybe a double handful of national payroll companies in the U.S. So we moved into that very quickly because that was the way to grow. We hired salespeople because that was, again, a way to grow, as opposed to just wait for word of mouth. So we have a marketing department. We're out there marketing all the time to continue to grow the business and increase revenue. We're constantly on top of what's going on in the industry and changes in software, changes in hardware, changes in taxes. So it's much more fun being in a changing environment, and much more difficult, of course, than it is to be in a static environment. And so we play in that ballpark. We like that.
Thank you. What steps can entrepreneurs take in order to develop a business growth mindset?
Well, first of all, they have to want to. I mean, they've decided to be an entrepreneur, or most of us get into being an entrepreneur by accident, looking to create a job for ourselves because we think we can do something better, faster, quicker. I suggest to them that they read Michael Gerber's The E-Myth Revisited. It saved my business. It taught me how to work on my business, not in my business. And that's the critical step. You have to work on growing your business, not working in your business as an employee. And it's a mindset. And once you've done that, and I give Michael's book to clients. I buy it by the dozen. I give it to clients to help them with their businesses. It's required reading for every new employee in my business. So it's a mindset of working on your business. And that's the critical thing, is you have to decide you want to grow your business. And I have to work on my business to grow it and make it more successful. If you just do it in there to do your job, if I was just there doing payroll or doing taxes or doing accounting, the business wouldn't grow. Not like it could. It would grow some from just word of mouth if I do a great job, but it never could be what it could be if I don't work on it.
Thank you. How can your company, GetPayroll, help entrepreneurs to support their company to grow or stay in business?
Well, obviously, as an entrepreneur, you need to take off some of the hats you wear, because you wear them all to start with. And one of those is payroll. It's a very simple thing to outsource. It's relatively inexpensive, and it saves you huge amounts of problems that may arise. 40% of U.S. small businesses get hit with a employment tax penalty every year. It can be as simple as arithmetic errors on the form, not filing the form on time, not sending it to the right place. The IRS in the States, are constantly looking for revenue by issuing penalties. So all of that complexity, you don't need to deal with. You can outsource that in a heartbeat, just like you outsource, in many cases, oil changes on your car, mowing your lawn, sewing your own clothes, whatever. You outsource those things. Well, this is one of those business things that you can outsource very early on. The moment you have an employee, the moment you incorporate, the moment you decide to hire somebody, you have payroll questions. That's why I wrote my most recent book, the Payroll book, a guide for small businesses and startups, to try and answer some of those questions and help people stay on the right path. There's a lot of pitfalls and a lot of traps in employment tax at the federal, state, and local level. And if you're not very familiar with all of them, you will fall into one of those traps.
Thank you. And how does your solution of GetPayroll compare with other solutions that are perhaps existing already?
Sure. We have lots of competition out there, and most of them do a reasonably good job of preparing a paycheck, or they'd be out of business. What they don't do is they don't handle compliance. Not only am I a certified public accountant, I'm also a U.S. tax court practitioner. So I can take my clients' tax problems to U.S. tax court without having to hire an attorney at some, huge cost. We do it as a matter of just our business. We'll file a petition if necessary for the $60 for the filing fee. So we're compliance experts. That's why I was on the IRS Advisory Council. we had a situation with a client that we couldn't get resolved, and we appealed it and appealed it and appealed it. And I finally got to the point where they wouldn't call me back. So I called the chief of appeals in DC and said, Shelley, this guy who works for you won't return my phone calls. She said, I'll have him call you. He called me that afternoon, and we got that problem resolved for our client in our client's favor. We're compliance experts. We know all the rules. In many cases, when we're dealing with the IRS, we know more about the regulations and the law than they do. And so it's very effective for us to deal with the IRS, where our clients would be lack the knowledge and lack the composure, because it's very emotional with them. It's money in their pocket, as opposed to a professional engagement for us. So we're very successful in handling these compliance issues for our clients.
Thank you. And what are the top mistakes entrepreneurs make when hiring a company like yours?
You need to look for somebody that understands your business and can work with you. If you're in a unique business, you need to have somebody that understands that. Now, it's payroll. A lot of people think their payroll is unique, and it's not. But look for somebody that can have the compliance expertise, CPAs on staff, and so on. If you look at the big guys like ADP or Paychex, if you call them and say, I need to ask a tax question to a CPA, they'll tell you to call your CPA, because they won't let you talk to theirs. Theirs are in the back room doing their accounting and their payroll and so on. They're not available to the clients. So if you don't have a compliance expert you can talk to, you're at a grave disadvantage. And if a problem arises, and it will with the Internal Revenue Service of the state, or with an employee, and you have a question you have to have answered, where do you go? If your CPA was a payroll expert, he'd be doing your payroll already. So they're basically throwing you out into the cold and saying, good luck. And we pick up a lot of clients because of that, because they haven't gotten the compliance help they've needed from their existing service.
Thank you.
So that's the biggest thing.
Thank you. How important is it to hire a company like yours versus doing your own payroll?
You have a limited time in an entrepreneurial business. You only have so many hours in a day. You need to work on the things that are important to your business. Yes, payroll is critical, but you can outsource it for a pittance. And for you to spend your time on something that you can outsource inexpensively is almost criminal. Your time is way too important, if nothing else, than to think about your business and work on your business. That time is critical to your success. And to waste that doing things that you're not an expert at, that you can outsource cheaply, is silly at best.
Thank you. What can entrepreneurs do in order to develop a business growth mindset? Are there any practices, habits, routines, any particular tools or techniques you recommend, any strategy, anything at all that you recommend for them to develop a business growth mindset?
Read and study. I mean, there are lots of books out there. Some are worthless, some are okay, and some are wonderful. Look for good books, good podcasts, good vlogs that concentrate on those things that can help you work on your business. I mean, there's a million sources of information out there, so you have to be selective. But, there's top authors, people like Gerber and Tom Peters and Peter Drucker, that can give you ideas and help that, if you implement, can be wonderful. So it's just, you've got to educate yourself. It's a job, and you need to learn how to work on your business effectively. They don't teach that in college, or they didn't.
Thank you. And tell us about some case studies of some companies you've worked on where you were able to either, save them time or save them money, or any other improvement that was achieved because they hired GetPayroll.
Oh, we've had numerous companies that have gotten into all kinds of problems, have brought us in, and we solve the problems with the taxing authorities over the course of months or years, and free up all that time and stop the penalties, set up the systems, help them learn to set it up so they don't incur new problems with their employees or the way they keep time. We teach them how not to get into problems with the labor department, not to get into problems with the state unemployment people, how to hire people, how to fire people, how to handle the HR, help them develop employee handbooks, which keeps them out of big time trouble. There's a million things that we can do. And a lot of I have in my book that really, it's one more resource of education. If they'll follow them, it will help them. And then we handle the compliance aspects for them. And it just saves them time, energy, effort, money, and pain.
Thank you. It sounds like this is the kind of thing that perhaps entrepreneurs get to hire after they've had major trouble. Is that the case, or do entrepreneurs tend to hire you even in advance of this happening?
A lot of them come to us after they've had problems because they think they can handle it. They think, well, payroll's simple. Well, payroll's not simple. Hiring people and determining whether they're employees or contractors is not simple. It's a whole body of law that changes. Filing forms, knowing what forms to file, knowing when you have to file, what you have to file, what you have to pay, when you have to pay, and then how to handle an error from the IRS or an error on your part. One simple tip: the IRS cannot penalize you for a simple error, only for gross negligence. The problem is the IRS wants to define everything as gross negligence. And if you don't know how to fight them, you lose. So these are things that we know intimately that our clients, if they've learned the hard way.
Thank you. What are some of your best personal habits and routines that you believe have helped you to develop a business growth mindset?
One of the things that's helped my business succeed is checklists and manuals. We have a living manual that we constantly update on all of our procedures. Years ago, we had this was many years ago, we had substantial accuracy problems. And I sat down and determined what I should do, and it was basically create checklists. So we created checklists, so every payroll was done as if a CPA did them. And I explained to my customer service people that they could make a mistake, but if they initialed off on a checklist that they did something and they didn't do it, they were fired. That's how important I felt it was. And that went into our procedure manuals where everything is documented. Literally, you could not know anything about payroll, come in and with the procedure manual, do a payroll. It might take you 2 weeks, okay, the first one, but you would soon build up to speed. So everything is covered, everything is detailed, everything is documented. That's the accountant in me. And every time we can encounter a new problem or a new situation, we update the manual. So it gets updated on a regular basis because things change and we run into new things. But that allows everybody to know what they're supposed to be doing all the time. And that's critical. So you're on the same path at all times.
Thank you. And how do you make sure that they actually read the entire manual and they remember every single thing?
We have weekly training sessions. So we update and we retrain and train on a constant basis because you won't remember everything. So we're constantly going over things, and a lot of it's, something happens, we train on it. Something changes, we train on it. When we have a new set of marketing initiatives that are taking us into maybe a new type of company or a new marketplace that we're not heavily into, we train on that. So we're training on a constant basis and updating the skills of our partners, our people, weekly, because it's critical that they know as much as they can know and are current on everything.
Thank you. What are the biggest lessons you've personally learned about having a business growth mindset?
One I've stolen from Warren Buffett. We hire good people. We don't hire jerks. Okay. Corporate culture is critical. When we hire somebody, everybody in the company gets to interview them, and anybody can check them as no. anybody for any reason. Because if they don't think it's going to work, it's not going to work. So if I don't have everybody agreeing that a new person will or appears to be a valuable addition, we don't hire them. And if they don't work out, we're fairly quick to let them go. Now, we don't do that often because we do hire good people. We haven't had a new hire in about 5 years because we've got a great staff and our technology allows us to do more work with less people on an ongoing basis, which is wonderful. And we pass that savings along to our clients. So, yeah, it all comes down to people.
Thank you. And what's your message to entrepreneurs worldwide?
Okay, there's two things for entrepreneurs. This one I stole from Bill Gates. People will overestimate what they can accomplish in a year and underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. Entrepreneurship is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's every day, every week, every month, every year. It's amazing what you can do over time. You're not going to be the unicorn. You're not going to be Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos in all probability, but you can make a nice living. You can grow a nice business if you work at it. And the other thing is there's never a traffic jam on the extra mile. Go the extra mile for your customers, your clients, and your employees, and you'll be amazed at what happens because your competitors don't.
Wow, that was fascinating. Stay tuned to the next episode.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.